Hey everyone, and welcome to WDIM Plus, where today I will be breaking down everything you need to know about the upcoming MCU movie Black Widow, set to finally be released in theaters and on Disney Plus July 9th, 2021. I say finally because this is one of the movies that has been affected the most by the pandemic, as it was originally set to be released in theaters in May of 2020. In fact, the producers have said that they have not even touched the movie since it was complete, which means the movie has been sitting on a shelf waiting to be released as the first movie in the fourth phase of the MCU. Because of the delay, one character that was supposed to debut in the Black Widow instead appeared first in the MCU series The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and in case you do not want that spoiled, I will not reveal it now, along with any other spoilers for the upcoming movie. But needless to say, the pandemic has changed Disney's plans multiple times, and finally, as the world starts to return to normal after the blip that was 2020, fans will get to see what should be the final performance of Scarlett Johansson as the eponymous character. Of course, the character did sacrifice herself in the movie Endgame, so this movie takes place during a time that we had previously not seen. This will include her origin story in Russia, among other things, and I will explain them here, along with who the rest of the cast and characters are. If this is your first time visiting the channel, my name is Eric and I break down movies and series here on WDIM+, so be sure to subscribe for weekly videos. Another returning character from within the MCU will be William Hurt, playing the single-minded Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross, which at the time and place of the events shown in this movie, he will be filling the position of Secretary of State for the United States. Because a good portion of the movie takes place in the past, Hurt will be digitally de-aged, but we may see him in some scenes closer to the present day as well. There is a rumor that a team of reformed supervillains known as the Thunderbolts will be brought into the MCU in the coming years, and this movie could go a long way to start that. The Thunderbolts are sort of Marvel Comics' version of the Suicide Squad in DC, as they are villains working off their sentences by going on dangerous missions for the government. They are called the Thunderbolts because Thunderbolt Ross created the team and even joined them after becoming the Red Hulk. I don't think we will see that character in this movie, but there is a good chance that Ross will be interested in recruiting a couple of the characters in the movie on this list. Celebrated actor Ray Winstone will be playing a pivotal role in the film as the villain Dreykov. The character is described as the leader of the Red Room, the organization that trained Natasha, as well as the other Black Widows in the film. Throughout the movies in the MCU, we have slowly learned of Natasha's past as a brainwashed spy who was recruited at a young age and whose identity was erased and rebuilt into that of a ruthless assassin. We also get to see what may have been a precursor to the Red Room in the series Agent Carter, but it is now unclear if that series is considered canon within the main MCU timeline. But Dreykov will be a major threat as the plot of Black Widow is centered around Natasha gathering individuals to help her stop Dreykov as he tries to rebuild the Red Room program and recruit a new generation of deadly spies. In the comics, this character does not exist, but since the original story took place during the Cold War, there are a lot of Russian-themed villains from the comics that we could see in this movie, such as the next character on this list. Stranger Things star David Harbour will be playing the part of Alexei Stozdakov, better known as the Red Guardian, who is basically the Russian version of Captain America. The movie The Winter Soldier, as well as the Falcon and the Winter Soldier series, showed us that many people were developing a version of the Super Soldier Serum first used on Steve Rogers, and Russia was definitely one of them, and Alexei was one of their test subjects. In the comics, him and Natasha are married, but in this movie he is said to play a father figure to her. Also in the comics, Alexei was a member of the Russian version of the Avengers known as the Winter Guard, and there is a rumor that we will see other members of the group in this film, such as Crimson Dynamo, who is basically the Russian version of Iron Man, as well as a synthezoid Sputnik, the Russian version of the Vision, and a humanoid bear named Ursa Major, who I suppose is the Russian version of the Hulk. If Alexei will be the father figure in the film, it seems that the character Rachel Weisz is playing, Melina Vostokov, will be the maternal one. She reportedly will be a former member of the Red Room who Natasha will seek out for help, and they will team up throughout the movie. Rachel Weisz is another actress with a long and celebrated career, and her character looks to be one of the most complicated in the film. Her role does exist in the comics, but is a villain that also goes by the alias Iron Maiden, so it is unknown how close the movie will play to this origin. She is billed as being on Natasha's side, but in a movie filled with spies, I'm putting my money on this being the one that switches sides at one point. I could be wrong, but the fact that her character in the comics is a villain does not bode well for her staying on the level. Another mysterious character in this movie will be that of Rick Mason, played by actor Oti Fagbenli, but the character is being billed as a love interest for Natasha and someone who is good at finding people that do not want to be found. His character also has origins in the comics and is a highly regarded agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. The movie is reported to take place mostly after the events of Captain America Civil War, which saw the fall of S.H.I.E.L.D. as it had been infiltrated by Hydra. If Mason were also a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent in the MCU, it would make sense for him to be working with Natasha, as there are not that many people he'd be able to trust at this moment. To that point though, this may also be a clue that Mason may not be one of the good guys and could be a Hydra agent that also had infiltrated S.H.I.E.L.D. There are a lot of signs that he will be an important character in the movie, so it'll be interesting to see what side he ends up on. One of the characters that fans are most excited to see on the screen is the one we know the least about, as the Taskmaster is set to finally make his or her big screen debut. The producers have not revealed who the actor or actress is behind the mask, which means that it is no doubt one of the other characters on this list. Many people believe that it could be the character Rick Mason, but it could also be Rachel Weisz, as her character in the comics is a villain. With the inclusion of the team the Winter Guard, it could also be any one of those characters, as they are all augmented in some way. In the comics, the Taskmaster is a mercenary, but has also trained many of Marvel Universe's greatest heroes, such as Captain America, Spider-Man, and Ant-Man. In the comics, he also used a version of a super soldier serum, and because of it has the ability to mimic the physical movements of anyone else simply by watching them. This makes him a nearly undefeatable hand-to-hand fighter, as he can learn, mimic, and counter any opponent's fighting style while they are fighting. He can also use weapons and objects as well as the heroes can, which means he can use a shield like Captain America and shoot arrows as well as Hawkeye. Needless to say, this is probably the most anticipated character in the movie, and the fact that he is also affiliated with the Thunderbolts team in the comics that I mentioned earlier could mean that this will not be the last time we see the character. Florence Pugh will be joining the MCU as Yelena Belova, who in the comics becomes the second character to use the alias the Black Widow. Just like Natasha, Yelena was trained in the Red Room and was actually sent to kill Natasha, but instead had a change of heart after being convinced by her and ends up joining S.H.I.E.L.D. In the movie, the character is said to act like a younger sister to Natasha and may actually take up the moniker of the Black Widow from her after her death in Endgame. Yelena is shown to be a much more ruthless and amoral character than Natasha is in the comics, so it'll be interesting if those character traits follow her to the MCU. Like the Taskmaster, Yelena is another strong candidate to appear in future MCU projects as a member of the Thunderbolts, which could match her personality more so than the Avengers. To that point, it has already been revealed that she will reprise this role in the upcoming Disney Plus series Hawkeye, based around the character of the same name, who has shown to have a long history with Natasha as well. Reprising the role for the 9th and perhaps final time, Scarlett Johansson gets top billing as the Black Widow, aka Natasha Romanoff, 11 years after she debuted the role in Iron Man 2. As I have mentioned, the main plot of the film will deal with the events directly after the movie Captain America Civil War, in which Natasha was responsible for releasing all of S.H.I.E.L.D's secrets to the world. This made her and most of the Avengers enemies of the state, as they were shown to be on the run until at least the events of Avengers Infinity War. Another rumored event that will be shown in this film is the adventure often alluded to by her and her best friend Clint Barton, aka Hawkeye, and that is their time together in Budapest, which would mean that we would get a secret cameo from Jeremy Renner as well. It would also be cool to see Natasha as the leader of what was left of the Avengers in the 5 years between the events of Infinity War and Endgame, and this movie will jump to many different times in her life. This will include her time in the Red Room, and will maybe also show us how Clint Barton and her met, which was a mission in which Barton was sent to kill her, but instead recruited her into S.H.I.E.L.D. Well, those are all the major characters in the upcoming movie Black Widow, but let me know in the comments who you are most excited to see. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please help us out by hitting that like button so YouTube will send it out to more people. Also, remember to subscribe and hit the bell if you want to catch my weekly videos. Once again, I'm Eric, and thank you for clicking on this video, and I will see you next time on What Did I Miss?